Hi, my name is Kevin McCaffrey from Tr3dent, and in this video, I want to provide you with an overview of our Transformation Accelerator product, and also to show you how it can be used to model a business, new ecosystems, and we see that using an example that's well known for everybody. But first, as a little bit of background, Transformation Accelerator is a strategic planning SaaS platform. It's designed specifically to help teams and their leaders to work effectively and communicate what can be quite complex information in an effective way. Currently, when we speak to organizations and we ask them about what they're doing, the first thing that comes up is the complexity. It's expensive. They don't all work. And when we put up this slide, people look at it and say, well, that's the way we're operating. Things are kind of stored and saved all over the place, some in Excel, some could be in Jira or Miro, could be in PDFs if you want to get standards information. And different stakeholders involved in the project want to look at different types of information. And this is a very inefficient, inconsistent and siloed way. And it's very difficult to get a kind of a single view of the truth. So this is the problem we address through Transformation Accelerator. Now we do this by enabling the transformation or the business leaders involved in the projects to work in a structured, collaborative way. And we'll see that once we get into the tool. And one of the key aspects in any of these projects is the concept of communications and being able to provide information to people that they can understand, consume, and be able to ask questions of. It's also about generating knowledge and sharing that knowledge between people. So the example we'll see will be a project about Uber, and we'll see how you could model an existing business or look at how you could change it and understand the complexity of an ecosystem using the product. So one of the important things with our product is the fact that it enables you to create communications and an effective ecosystem and a business plan from a high level, from strategic visions all the way down to modeling new ecosystems. It could incorporate best practices such as design thinking, and it can leverage best practices associated with things such as business capabilities, partner ecosystems. And what's also really important about this is that through the single platform, key stakeholders are able to view the information and understand it. So whether that's at the C-level, whether it's business leaders, IT people, and also external people. And one of the important things there is making sure people are looking at the same thing and there's that single source of the truth. So how do we do this? Well, we take very much an ecosystem-centric approach. And by that, what we mean is essentially key to many of these transformational projects and business change is the stakeholders and the products and services that they offer and how those interact and communicate effectively with each other. So we're going to see how that plays out in an example project in a moment. But what is important is this concept of structured collaboration. Many clients we speak to prior to using our tool had information in different areas, that PowerPoint slides, that spreadsheets, and when they had to update one, they had to remember then to go and update slide 25 and so on, and really very difficult to understand and to keep on top of. So what we do is within the product, we provide a range of tools, and basically those tools or modules, as we refer to them, are used on an as-needed basis and surfaced to the teams on, as they require them. So if, for example, you're specifically in the area of business modeling, there's a range of business model canvas and best practices around that area. There's also a range of different tooling available and examples around ecosystems, but also it could be things such as, your standard project activities like risks, checklists, SWOT analysis, and that. We also provide integration to products like Jira, Trello, Miro, which enables you to kind of take information from those elements and pull them into the tool, or the other direction as well. So what's also important is the focus of our product is very much on that early stage in the project, that strategic planning stage, which, as we all know, is typically done on PowerPoint, which is not the best tool for this. One other area to draw your attention to is up in the top left corner, this concept of data catalogs. And we're seeing a huge level of interest in this in that organizations have different frameworks. Consulting companies have frameworks that they've used for engaging with their clients. They could range from maturity models to best practices to business process frameworks, anything like that. And all of that information can be, imported into the tool and then used in a variety of different ways. Our product is well recognized by Gartner, and we've been listed in 10 or more reports at this stage. And it's quite interesting that they view us in kind of two key market areas. One is in the area of strategic and innovation, and the other one is business ecosystem model. And again, it's very much part of the business architecture side of it. So it's really defining and understanding and the scope and the strategy from, let's say, the outside in. So you're looking at it from a business, from a customer's, from a stakeholder's perspective, rather than from the inside out, which would be, systems and those types of things. But we also allow those things to come together very nicely. Our product is very visual, and it contains a wide range of examples. It contains example content, use cases, best practices, but it also enables organizations to tailor it to their own particular needs. So that can include a specific methodology they have of going through something like a define, design, scope, and then, the collaboration across all of that. But it could be anything from discovery, gap analysis, as is, to be, all of those types of things. The product is, as I said, a SaaS product. It's hosted up on Microsoft Azure. And one critical thing is it's ISO 27001 certified. So we take data security very, very seriously. And we've achieved that gold standard, and we've completed that now for over the last 2 years through audit. So we're highly conscious of our clients' data, and it's important that that's secure within the product. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to jump over and we'll have a look at an example project within Transformation Accelerator. So this is Transformation Accelerator here. As I said, it's a SaaS platform, accessible through browsers, any browser at all. The concept within the product, it's a multi-tenant environment. Each customer or each client has their own private workspace that they control and manage themselves, both in terms of access and content. The object that they generally create within there would be a project. So those projects can have a wide range of different purposes. And here are some example projects that we've got in this kind of demo workspace. And you can see it ranges from things like an Uber business model to different playbooks, to best practices, to templates on different items. So in this short demo, what I wanted to do was pick an example that most people will relate to, and just to show you how an organization such as Uber could model their business, their ecosystem, and their business model within Transformation Accelerator. So I'm just going to click on this little card here, and it'll open up the Uber project. So within the project itself, once you come into it, there's a couple of things that it brings out right up front, and you get an overview where you can use to collaborate and share. You've also got content where you can, basically the table of contents in the project, and these are kind of like almost in a Word document. You've got a header and you've got different elements below this. These individual items, these little cards, are referred to as modules, and you can consider them similar to a PowerPoint slide, but smart and connected. So they're designed to meet a specific purpose, and they encourage the users to think about things possibly in a way that they haven't done before. And ideally, it raises questions that enables them to create a more complete content within the project. Also, you notice up at the top, we've got a tab for stakeholders, and the stakeholders are key within Transformation Accelerator, and key within all projects for that matter, because those stakeholders are the elements that keep things together, that tie dependencies, the responsibilities, value is delivered, products and services are delivered or consumed. And also, you can list the different types of products that can be in there as well. So let's jump back to the content. And as you can see, there's different little cards here. They talk about user stories, value proposition, key drivers, a SWOT analysis. You'll also notice within there, it talks about the stakeholders that could be assigned within here. So let's just kind of quickly cycle through some of these here for the moment. So under user stories, you're going to be able to expand on that, and you can see there's a heading called driver. And in here, it's using the classic, structure for a user story or a problem statement, which is as a, I need to, so that I can. And this is important. And what's really interesting is you're able to assign specific problem statements within here, because as you know, the stakeholders involved in your project will have different problems that they're looking at solving. So you want to be able to make sure that you understand what the problem is first as you're working through that solution. So we can just use the little buttons on the bottom of the screen here to move to the next item. So one of the next things you want to talk about, okay, I know what the problems are. Now, what's the value we're going to provide in this? So we want to, provide revenue improvement. Who's going to, who's going to assist? Who's going to be the recipient of that? Well, maybe the drivers, probably Uber as well. You'll also notice there's a range of different buttons which allow you to do things such as add comments to, like you would in something like LinkedIn. I can put in @ and add a comment for the person in there. You can also create a Kanban, which is your activity list, to capture user stories, which maybe you want to feed down into Jira. And also you can create a hyperlink that you could say, well, actually, we've got a big Word document that details all of that. It's stuck in, we have it in SharePoint or Confluence, and you can add that link here so it's easily accessible, because as we all know, sometimes with those applications, it's very difficult to find something when you really want it. Next thing is drivers. And again, they were talking about, in this situation, Uber, what's driving it, the internet, the platform capabilities, the sharing economy, all those good things. Now, next, one of the things, another type of a module that would be available in here is also things like a SWOT analysis. And these quadrant kind of modules, you can customize for yourself. If we select a particular item in here, you'll get properties, you're able to assign specific products, you could call, tag things, as is, to be, you can filter all sorts of different items here. So these are what we've done here is, and just going back to the landing page, is we've kind of given an overview of what's the problem, what's the value, what's driving it, and where are we now in terms of the overall strength. Let's go down to the next level of detail, where we want to explore this a little more. So let's say we want to look at the business model first. So I'm just going to move this over first, but you could go either way. And we look at the business model canvas. So within Transformation Accelerator contains a wide variety of different canvases that have been used for business model. In this example, it's using the standard Osterwalder business model canvas. Now, one of the things we found about this is when people were using it, they tended to want to, well, once we've got the 9 blocks completed, we're done. Well, we wanted to ensure that we could provide more capabilities to enable them to enrich that data and also filter and ensure that they understood what elements within a business canvas apply to different people. So you can see there's little icons of people there, or you've got, these are the products and services that are going to deliver that value proposition. On the right-hand side is the properties panel. And within here, you can associate stakeholders, products and services. You can also then add a little bit more detail, if necessary, around, well, what type of a transaction is it from a revenue point of view? How are you going to price that? Right? Maybe it's market dependent. How do you generate that from a usage fee? But depending on what item you select, if I choose resources, what type of resource? And again, sometimes this triggers, geez, we hadn't thought of that. Yeah, we need some cash to do this, so we need a financial resource. Also within here, you've got the ability to filter items. So I could say, well, I want to look at this from the perspective of the customer, and I'm going to apply the filter there. So then you can filter and look at things and say, well, from the customer, this is the value proposition that are going to be relevant. But if we were to look at it from a different perspective, let's say from the driver's perspective, and apply that, you'll have different elements that come to the surface. And this is a really important way to, one, validate, but also to communicate information to key stakeholders. Again, there are buttons up here about importing, exporting, adding comments, all those kind of things. But let's just remove the filter for a second. And when you look at a business model canvas, one of the challenges with this is to understand the relationship, who's doing what, who's selling what to whom, all of those types of things. So this is why we built within our tool the capability to model an ecosystem. Now, when I talk to people about their ecosystem, one of the first questions I said, well, can you show me it? What does it look like? And they kind of look at me as if I have two heads and say, well, we don't have that. Well, this is where TA comes in. And if we click on next to go to the Uber ecosystem. So within the ecosystem, and I'll just zoom in here a little bit into the center for a moment. The purpose of this diagramming tool is to define the high-level relationships between the key stakeholders. So you can see you've got Uber, you've got the customer, you've got influencers, App Store, you've got the driver down here, you've got the customer as well. Now, how does this work? How do people do this? Well, you can actually select a stakeholder, or you could create a new one if you needed to. So if, for example, for argument's sake, I just stick in the insurer here, and I say, well, the insurer is going to have a relationship with the driver. So if we go there and say, well, what type of an interaction? Is it a product or service? Is it data? Is it financial? Is it contractual? So let's say it's a product or service. But you can have, as you can see here, there's multiple types of interactions, both in and out within an ecosystem. So one of the things that you'll also notice is there's different colors and to represent different types of interactions. So if we click on the little filter button again, you can see and look at those different color schemes that are in here. So if, for example, I wanted to look at the flow of money, I could choose, well, let's look at the financial interactions. So who pays whom? What type of a relationship? And I can select these and this relationship and look and get more information. Now, it says it financial, but I could come down here and say, well, it's a revenue shared model, and it's going to be based on percentages, right? Now, what we're looking at here is the end result of typically, obviously, it wasn't Uber doing this, we did it, but the idea behind it is you'd have a team working together to define this ecosystem. And to be honest, one of the most important parts about this is the creation, excuse me, of the ecosystem in terms of the collaboration to get there. Because as you're working through this, you're getting an implicit buy-in from your stakeholders to understand the relationships between this. So the visualization on this is really important because it really highlights and enables you to see, how an ecosystem works in a visual way that most people understand and can communicate quite effectively. Going back to our landing page, you could also go down to other elements such as, the create a BPMN diagram showing, the swim lanes of what happens for a simplified booking system. So the product has a wide range of capabilities within it. And at any stage, you can click on Add Module. And within here, we've got a range of different categories of modules. So it could be business canvases, external integration, product ideation, strategic planning. All of these come available out of the box and available to all of our clients. One of the important things, as you've noticed, is stakeholders play a key role across the entire project. So you can see that they've been assigned to many items across here. Now, one of the things that we've done is, as you work through the product, it dynamically maps those dependencies and those relationships you've defined. And what I mean by that is across this little toolbar, we've got an assignment matrix. And what that assignment matrix says is, well, for the indirect taxi driver or for for Uber themselves, what are the elements that they have been assigned to? So what are the drivers? What are the other process elements that they've been mapped to? So you've got this in a kind of a traditional matrix table, tabular view. But one of the things that's unique within our product is to be able to view that visually through something called the Stakeholder Map. So this is built dynamically for you as you work through the project, and you can view this at any point. And what you've got at the center here are all of the stakeholders you've defined. And the way it works is that these are your modules on the outside, and you could expand and say, well, okay, I want to go into the business model canvas. I want to look at the value proposition. Now, which stakeholders are going to deliver that particular item or to whom, right? So you're able to see those assignments. Are the key resources, where are they coming from? Predominantly coming from Uber. So this visualization is really important because it actually shows, one, the complexity, but it also shows the dependencies and allows you to see things from different stakeholders' perspectives. Going back to the overview page, there's a range of things here where we can export the project, we can share it, We can create links that other people can look at. So the intent here is really from a strong collaborative point of view to enable people to use a tool that'll help them deliver successful projects. Now, one of the things we also want to ensure is that when people are using the product, that they don't come in and get a kind of a white screen syndrome where they're, where do I start? What do I do? Well, the product contains a wide range of example projects from, as we saw, the Uber business model. There's best practices associated with digital transformation. There's items related to ITSM in terms of change management, incident management, and a whole range of other different example projects. And any of these are all available within the product. And, you know, to take your copy of that, you can just click and choose create a project from this. So not only does the product have rich features, it has rich content, and at any stage you can add a project and create a project based on different templates, or create your own template, or even create a new project based on one of these example projects. So I hope this demonstration and overview of Transformation Accelerator has been useful. Appreciate any feedback you might have, and, you know, please feel free to reach out and to contact me or contact any of the team at Tr3dent for further information. We'd be delighted to hear from you. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.